Russo with the Majestic Rider. So I know you can't see me. I'm with Freedom. Just wondering why I'm talking to myself. So what are we doing today? So this is a 3.5-year-old gelding Tennessee walking horse. You'll see he's unloading some extra baggage back there. And today we are hand walking him just to give him exposure. So why do I do this? So I, of course, ride them, but sometimes I just hand walk him because he's a baby and he hasn't seen all these things. So one lets me see how he reacts to things. So you'll see he's alone. It's just me and him. He's totally calm. If I stop him, besides looking for food, he might look around at all these things. And that is perfectly fine for him to do, because now is the time for him to look around and check everything out. And hopefully there's llamas usually up there, so hopefully they're out today. So we want him to know that it's okay that he looks around and checks things out, because he's a baby and he needs this exposure. With me on the ground, he knows there's more safety. If something comes, he'll run away and I'll get eaten because I'm much slower. And then I'm also acting as his mother, so I'm going to try and show him the things that he should be afraid of and the things that he shouldn't be afraid of. And so he needs to get this exposure like he would with his mother, showing him where the safety things are and what is not safe. So we're walking down, we're going to see maybe some llamas, some bee boxes, and then there's traffic that goes by up on this road. So I'm going to expose him to the traffic, and hopefully bikes and motorcycles and all those things will come by, and he will get to see them with me on the ground. And he's very curious, but we want to build up his courage. And now he's unloading some more stuff for us. Let him know that all these things are okay and they're not going to hurt him. So remember, you don't always have to be on their back. You want to give them lots of different experience, change the routine up. So if you do a hard trail ride, you know the next day is easier, but you're constantly exposing them to things. So that way, as they're older, they have lots of experience. So, and this way also, he's a young horse, so he's not carrying me on his back today. So of course that's easier for him too. You don't want to hurt the babies. You want to take your time and get them there. But again, you don't always have to be on their back to expose them to all these new things. Okay, so now hopefully you can see him looking around behind me, and I have him on a longer rope, so if he did pull back or anything, he shouldn't be able to get away. And it's good to have a long rope in the beginning, because once they know they can get away, they won't forget that. They might try that with someone else, but if he never gets away from me in time, he will think he can't get away, even though we know he can, and that'll help so he never has those behaviors later on in his life, like some horses have, of pulling back and escaping. So again, you'll see him looking all around as he's following me. That's perfectly fine. Remember when you're a little kid holding your mom's hand? She's guiding you around and you're just kind of looking at all the sights. Well, that's perfectly fine, because you knew your mother was going to take care of you, so you didn't have to worry about where you're going. Neither does he. That's where the llamas are, so we'll see if they're up there. So we're trying to give them good experience, not bad experience. The other thing, lots of people take these gaited horses, see I'm out of air, and just ride them in the woods. Well, that's exposure. But like us in California, we see lots of things on our trails, bikes and hikers and people carrying their babies on their backs, and then the babies start screaming as you go by. Sometimes there's strollers. We've seen trucks out there, chainsaws. We see all sorts of stuff. So the more we can expose the horse to things in California, the better, and the safer it'll be for the horse and myself. So now I'm going to let him stop, because and let me switch the camera around, because he may not be able to see the llamas, but you know they can smell them, because they smell in here much better than we can. And so the fact he wanted to stop here where they usually are is fine. Maybe they'll come down, maybe they won't, but I want to give it time to happen. instead of running away from these things, like people are like, oh, the llamas aren't there, let's get by while they're not there. I'm like, hey, the llamas aren't here, let's stay here a while and let's see if they come out, because I'd much rather expose them and let them see them while I'm on the ground than the first time being on his back. And now he can hear the traffic up there and the cars going by. So again, exposure over and over again. Don't be afraid to show your horse stuff. Be afraid not to show him stuff, because if he doesn't see it before, then of course when they do see it, they can be much more nervous. So you want to expose them to everything possible, everything they're scared of. You can go up to it and show him it's just a rock. It might take you 10 minutes, but the next time he'll know it's a rock. If you don't expose him to it, then for the rest of the life he might be spooking at big boulders because he never realized it was a rock, because remember, they don't see like we see. So these are the bee boxes. You can see he's looking, but he's fine. But I'm gonna let him stop so he can hear the noises of the bees and just get used to it. And maybe he'll never see a bee box in his life once he goes to his new home. But if he does, won't those people be impressed, like, wow, he's not afraid of this stuff at all, that's weird. So you're trying to make them as good as they can. We domesticated them, so it's up to us to actually show them how to be good horses and survive in their new life. You know, they're not in the wild anymore, so now it's got to be a little bit different, and we got to get them ready for their new homes. Get them ready for their new homes. Good. So now there's RVs going by, all sorts of stuff. So let's get them up here. Got a big, huge tractor trailer going by. But this is how you get your horse used to stuff. You just expose them over and over again until they realize it's not going to kill them and it's no big deal. You know, and some horses are mellow and they see it once and they don't care, and other horses you got to show it to them 1,000 times depending on what temperament you bought. See, there's even some art stuff over there. Like, once the next time he's going to see the world and a plane. Just, you know, sometimes crazy stuff, but this way he'll get used to it. So now we're just going to hang out and see how he does with all the traffic going by. And again, if he spooks or anything, it's okay. This is his very first time up here, and he's just a baby. But you see how he's looking around and exploring stuff? That's fine. And I don't care if he turns around and the cars go behind, you know, his butt. See, that one's rattling? Because where we ride, they are going to come up behind his butt, and they're going to come towards his head, and they're going to come towards his side. So I want him used to all that stuff. And he can stand, right? He can stand where he's comfortable, and he's going to get exposure no matter what. So it's not like I have to hold him in place. If he wants to move around to be comfortable, as long as he's not running away, that's fine. So the other day I was up here with a spooky horse, getting him used to stuff. Oh, now we're lunging ourselves. Oh, now you're coming over. He's like, no, I think I'll come back to you because it's scary. There's Jose. I was up here the other day and somebody was over there on a tractor and they had a weed whacker and all sorts of stuff. And I could hear him saying, that's a weird place to ride a horse. Like, why would you ride it up next to the road? There's so many good places to ride around here. And see, what that person didn't understand, good, it's a little speedster, is sure, I can ride him in the beautiful woods and he'll never see this stuff. And then how is he supposed to get over it? And that horse, you know, was scared of things banging and the trucks banging and the motorcycles. And so how do you think I got him over it? Every week I came up here and rode him down here, and then I would stand here forever and give him little jobs if he was bad. So then he just thought, well, I'd rather just stand here and listen to the cars go by than have this lady make me do all sorts of exercises. So again, that guy didn't understand the whole purpose of what I was doing. Here's the video. The whole purpose of what I was doing down here. Just like, you know, this guy doesn't understand what I'm doing right now. But again, it's fine. He can lunge himself. He gets exercise, and when he gets tired enough, he'll stand still. So we want to expose them to as many things as we can. And the only way to do that is for you to do it yourself or to get a trainer to do it for you. So again, if you want them to be able to stand here calmly, well, somebody has to take them through it, and the first time they might be walking around like this. But again, for a baby, he's just walking. He's not doing anything bad. He's not rearing. He's not trying to get away. And in the meantime, all these things are going by. Yep. I think that person just beat. Now I got a bike coming, and it's dragging something, so I don't know if I'll be able to hold the phone. I'm going to try and tuck it in my shirt so I can hold on to him too. Again, we know it's coming at us, so what do you're trying to get ready for what the horse might do, so he might run backwards, because his idea to escape would be run backwards and run back home. Good boy. It's okay. No, that's okay. I'm trying to get him used to stuff. That's why I'm down here. Yeah, so this is perfect. But this is his first time down here, and we're on cement, so I just want to get him used to it. What?
You have more of them?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I don't know where the heck this is pointing. Let's see it. There he goes. Hopefully we got some decent video of that. Okay, we got more vehicles going by, but he's doing fine now. It's a little too close. So that was normal behavior for a young horse, which people don't understand when they want to buy young horses, is, you know, they got to get exposed to stuff, and when they're younger they haven't seen it yet. Now some of the older horses haven't seen it yet either, because they've only been ridden in the woods. So when you're when you're gonna buy a horse, you want to figure out where you're gonna ride it, what does it need to be exposed to before you get it, and can you expose it because you're brave and a good rider and have good horse sense, or are you scared and nervous? Because if you're scared and nervous, you should not own a young horse. That's just it, because unless you're in with the trainer, but the trainer's going to do all the work, and you're going to end up spending tons of money, right? So you might as well get a $10,000 horse or a $20,000 horse, because in the end, that's what you're going to end up paying. So young horses are for people who have horse sense. They either have help or they know what to do, and they can expose the horse. And you can get young horses with great temperaments that really don't spook. Like, this is not a spooky horse. But again, when something really scary comes at it that they've never seen before, any horse can spook. And I've seen people buy, you see him playing with my tassel back there? This is the fun part. Oh, and see, we're getting to hear a gunshot. But I've seen people, like, they're beginners, and they buy a 4-year-old horse because the seller tells them, like, it's calm. And, you know, I might even, if they want me to help, call them up and say, so what's the horse doing? It spooks? And they go, oh, it doesn't spook. It hasn't, you know, it hasn't spooked at anything. And I'm thinking, well, you haven't exposed it to anything. So I'll tell you one story. So lady buys beautiful horse, brings it to me to put a couple months training on it. It's supposed to be completely trained. It's cost over $10,000. And this is the one I talked to the trainer, and I knew something was going to come up because they said it spooked at nothing. And I saw 2 videos, and the horse was just ridden in the woods. So I go to walk it up our hill at the other barn, and we see a lady riding a horse coming down, and I'm riding this horse. And what do you think happens? Horse spins around, tries to bolt down the hill. So that's spook 1. This is just in the very beginning, right? And all it did was see another horse, so they probably never saw other horses on the trail. Next day I see a turkey. What do you think the horse does? Turns and spins, right? So you're getting the idea down. Next day after that, what do we see? A bike, turns and spins. So I started the horse all over, hand walking it, exposing to everything at the barn, and it ends up being a nice horse. But she paid over $10,000, and she was a beginner. So if she had taken that horse home, what do you think would have happened? She would have fell off, probably gotten hurt, then would have been scared to ride, would have sold the horse. So it doesn't help anybody, you know, especially when there's these sellers, by not telling people. Like, it's our responsibility to know that these young horses should not go to true beginners, right? They need to go to someone who has some experience or have trainers to help, and then you tell them everything, like, hey, I only rode this horse in the woods, so I don't know if he's going to spook at a bike. I don't know if he's going to spook at a dog or a truck. So you need to be aware of these things as you're going to buy this horse. And he likes pom-poms. So be aware. Some people just want a young horse because they think, well, I want to buy one horse and I want him to last. Not a good idea. Better to buy an older horse, get started. Once you're doing well, then if you want to move up, and you probably won't because you'll trust the horse and like him now, but then if you want to move up to another horse, then that you can sell that older horse to somebody, because that older horse is a great horse for beginners. So he's going to find a home no matter what because he's a good horse, right? It's the younger ones that are going to have more issues. So we need to start them well and then find the right buyers for them. And again, you want to know this going into it, that if you're a new rider or you're an old rider but you haven't ridden in 30 years, don't buy the young horse, okay? Get riding first, get your lessons in. Sorry, I'm trying to fix everything. Get your lessons in, get back in the saddle, and then, start with a calm horse, or if you're gonna buy that young horse, stay with the trainer or have the trainer put more mileage on it until they're sure you're ready for it. And then always round pen it or lunge it before you ride it, because they have more energy than the older horses. And they're going to tend to buck and rear more, just like puppies run and leap through the air because their joints don't hurt. But the older ones, as long as they're not nuts, usually won't, because their joints hurt. And that's the benefit, is they're less likely to buck you off or rear up. Now we have dogs going after somebody over there. And I had somebody with bebop music. Oh, and there's a truck pulled off the road over there, so the owner's dogs are attacking it. See? Great exposure. Now this guy's taken off. I think we should videotape him just in case he was doing something bad.